This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Whelen, also brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, with the latest NASCAR local, regional, touring, and international racing news and views, here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. I'm Hannah Newhouse, joined as always by my co-host of Kyle Rickey. And Kyle, this past weekend, it was an action-packed weekend for NASCAR's regional touring. Both the ARCA Menards East and West, as well as the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, was in action. And to start it all off here, the tour did make their return to Jennerstown, where Craig Lutz picked up his first win of the season, his second of the tour, but it wasn't without a tough battle there at the end between himself and Dave Sapienza.
Yeah, this is one of those weekends that we've been kind of craving for the last 6 months. It's like all the divisions, seemingly, just about all of them, were back in action, including the modified. Second trip to Jennerstown, you mentioned a great late race battle, a couple of late race cautions, bunched the field, and Dave Sapienza gave it everything he had, tried to get around Craig Lutz in the late stages, but couldn't get the job done, and Lutz was able to pick up his second career win, first since Stafford of late last year. Good run for Anthony Nocella, coming home in third, and then those championship contenders fourth and fifth with Doug Coby and Justin Bonsignor. Quick race, but a fun race. I think there was one red flag for some cleanup midway through the event, but other than that, everybody, for the most part, got away unscathed.
And they'll be back in action again this up-and-coming weekend as they head to Monadnock. It's a pretty busy schedule for the tour the next month or so as they really start getting back in a regular rhythm, considering we've only had 4 races for the tour so far this season, Kyle, and we're almost in September.
Yeah, it's the last week of August, and we're just 4 races in. But you're right, we got Monadnock coming up, a midweek race at Thompson, the New Hampshire race weekend coming up for the modifieds, and an event at Stafford, and then another race at Thompson. So they're announcing some events here every week. So hopefully we can get, for the most part, a full season. Right now, Bonsignor, the championship point leader, heading to Monadnock by 10 over Coby. I think Craig Lutz could be the sleeper here. We talked a little bit about him last year before he got the win. Now he's got 2 wins, and he's just 17 points back. John McKennedy and then Dave Sapienza rounding out the top 5 in points. So good, tight battle, and the usual suspects right up there toward the top with Justin and Doug.
And we'll have Craig dialed up here in just a little bit to talk about his win this past weekend, but also, again, the ARCA East and West was in action. ARCA East joined the busy NASCAR schedule at Dover International. Racing there, Sam Mayer seems to have that racetrack figured out. The youngster picked up yet another win. And then out on the West Coast, the ARCA West went to Colorado, where Jesse Love is really starting to make a name for himself out there, Kyle.
Yeah, picked up another win, holding off Blaine Perkins at the finish. Gio Scelzi was third, and I think Jesse going to be one of the favorites for the championship as a 7-point lead right now over Blaine as they head to the All-American Speedway coming up in a couple of months' time on October 10th. Jesse Love, a name that we really didn't hear a lot of before the start of this season, but has made a big splash on the West Coast, and I think will be one to contend for the championship. Just a couple of races left on the West Coast. We knew it was going to be a shortened season with the restructuring of the ARCA West and ARCA East falling under the ARCA umbrella for this year. And thankfully, the folks from ARCA were able to make up a lot of the events. And I think they've run, 5 or 6 races now, 3 more coming up before season's end. And Jesse Love has been a factor in all of them.
Yeah, and poor Chris Wright, the promoter of both those series. Yeah. He's got to be sleeping, he's got to be recovering right now, because I know he was at Dover and then turned around and caught a cross-country flight out to the West Coast last weekend. He was part of the ARCA West doubleheader where they were in Oregon and Washington within 2 days of each other. So commend him for all of the effort that's been put into getting them back on track and allowing them to have for the most part, a full season this year amidst everything. But Kyle, we joke about it all the time here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. It never fails. We record this show on a Monday, think we've got everything covered, we're ready to go, and something breaks right before this show goes out on Wednesday. And it happened to us once again here. The late model stock race, something we've been talking about, looking forward to this entire season at Martinsville. The Valley Star Credit Union 300 has officially been canceled for this season. I know a lot of teams out there are really heartbroken about this because it's their Daytona 500.
Yeah, this is their big event, and it usually attracts about 75 to 80 late model teams from across the southeast region of the country, and one of the big paydays for them. And unfortunately, the track announced this past week that they had to pull the plug because of the state of Virginia restrictions with everything going on with COVID-19. I believe right about the same time, Richmond International Raceway announced that they're going to hold their NASCAR weekend, but without fans. But unfortunately, the way the business model works with the late model teams, they don't have a lot of that big TV network money coming in. They don't have any of it coming in. And the racetrack depends on those, 15,000 or so people that show up to watch that event. That ticket money pays the sanction fee, pays the purse, and helps make that event a success. And unfortunately, without race fans allowed onto the property for an event right now in Virginia, it just simply couldn't work as far as the business of it is concerned. So Clay and his team at Martinsville Speedway did everything they could to try to make that event happen. But had to pull the plug about a month before the race was to be held, just to give teams some notice that they would not be needing to put in the budget a couple days at Martinsville, Virginia.
Yeah, definitely a tough situation that a lot of short tracks are in. And we talk about it all the time, not being able to bring tours in and bring series in without the capability of being able to fill their grandstands and fill that void in payouts and make sure everyone gets their payout. And, we recently just saw Nashville, the fairgrounds. They actually were shut down for what was supposed to be a race this past weekend. The city stepped in and said, nope, we can't do this. You're going to do it without fans or not at all. And they just were put in the position that they would not be able to do so. So a lot of those drivers are now headed down to Pensacola, Florida last weekend to race there. So it's a constant flux, Kyle, that we talk about all the time. But at the end of the day, glad that a lot of our drivers are able to have started their season and get to go racing. And so that being said, we'll take a quick break, and when we return here, we'll get Craig Lutz with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour dialed up to talk about his win.
Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications. On the road, in the air, and around the world, Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
This past weekend, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour made their return to Jennerstown for the fourth race of the tour season. Craig Lutz, finishing that one spot better than he did earlier this season, comes home with the win and joins us now here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. First off, Craig, congratulations on your win this past weekend, and thanks for taking some time out of your day to come and hang out with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
So let's talk about that. You took the lead with about 22 laps to go. You had a hard-charging Dave Sapienza right behind you. What's going through your head these last couple laps, knowing that you're going to have to work for this win?
Yeah, I mean, the first race we won at Stafford was definitely, it had a bigger gap, so I knew it was going to be tight. He was within like a half a car length the whole time, but it's tough when Dave's a good friend of mine, but it was just hard racing, just trying not to make any mistakes. The car was a little tighter than I wanted it to be, but was able to work out.
You mentioned in your post-race interview that your pit crew nailed the pit stop. How key was that into getting you and your team to victory lane?
A track like that, you could be the car behind you could be faster, but you need to get such a good run to be able to pass. That was a hard thing that we figured out all day. starting fifth there. That long green flag run, I was able to drive up to second, but you'd really have to set up and make the right moves to be able to pass somebody. So anytime you could either maintain or gain spots on pit road is huge.
Yeah, and this season for you guys has been a whirlwind. Jennerstown was announced prior to the season that you would be going there, but you've now gone there twice in the last 4 races, and you had a good run there the first time that you guys did go there. How much did you really learn, and what did you take away from that first race that you applied to this past weekend's race that helped you capture that victory?
We learned a ton. That was the first race of the season, so, there's a lot of unknowns just coming in with new cars, and, we went the week prior to test there. I think that definitely helped. But, just the first race just missed one adjustment at the end and wasn't able to get by Justin. But, luckily my crew chief, Doug Ojico, gave us an awesome car and made the right calls to be there at the end.
Third in points, 17 behind Justin and Doug there in the second spot. You believe that you are and your team is in good position to contend with those two for this championship?
Yeah, definitely. You always come into the season hoping to be able to have a shot at the championship, and I think it's shown that our team's grown together to be able to compete for the championship. But you just gotta take it week by week and try to get the best finish that you can, and then hopefully have a shot at the end.
And looking forward to the rest of the season here. Again, a wild season that it has been this up-and-coming weekend. You guys are headed to Monadnock. But then we have the announcements of Thompson being added to the schedule, Stafford being added to the schedule, and then, Loudon is there as well. How much are you looking forward to some normalcy here on the tour as we get ready to go to those racetracks?
Oh, I just can't wait to get back to basically like our home track. Those 3 tracks we hit, 3-4 times a year. So definitely excited to get back to Thompson, Stafford, and Loudon. So can't wait for those shows to get going.
You touched on it a little bit ago. Your team has been growing these last 5 years on the tour. Looking at the numbers, 16 in 2016, you were 17th in points. 2017, you were 10th in points. 2018, 5th in points. Last year, 4th in points, and you're currently 3rd in the championship standings. The progression of the last 5 years, how much of that is experience for you as a driver? And also, how much of it is maybe building the resources with your team over the last 5 years?
I think it's a little bit of both. You start your season, you start your modified tour career, whatever you want to call it. But, the first 2 years, it's very hard to compete in the top 5 and run for wins. You just have to put your time in, and then and as many resources as you can build along with that, and just the crew. It takes so much to win a tour race. You could have the fastest car and the best driver, but without, you have to have good pit stops, good strategy. Those things just have to work your way. So I think that's the biggest things we've been working on, is trying to get everything lined up to make it happen at the end of the race. So, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
And you said it there, collected that first win last year, now a win early on here in the season with plenty of more races to go. And you guys head to Monadnock this up-and-coming weekend. Again, Craig, thank you so much. Congratulations this past weekend, and good luck this up-and-coming weekend.
Thanks. Hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon.
And again, that is your winner this past weekend in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Craig Lutz, picking up that win at Jennerstown Speedway. When we return, we've got your Whelen Engineering Short Track Spotlight.
Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications. On the road, in the air, and around the world, Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
And for this week's Whelen Engineering Short Track Spotlight, we found one out in the Midwest, Rockford Speedway. It's a quarter-mile short track, high-banked asphalt oval, and it's located out in Loves Park, Illinois on Illinois Route 173. This racetrack hosts weekly local-level events during the summer racing season, as well as occasional regional and national-level events. Some of those notable special events that the track includes trailer races, endurance races, the Spring Classic, All-Star 100, and the National Short Track Championship. The track was built in 1947 by a farmer and a group of investors. When Hugh Deary eventually bought the track and the speedway, he was the sole owner of it by 1966. And then it opened in 1948 as a midget car racing venue. Rockford Speedway is known for being the first track to develop an economical late model program, as well as being an early adopter of the short track Saturday night racing format. Another one of Hugh Deary's innovations was to host a national season-ending special event, which he eventually titled the Short Track Championship. The track is still owned by the Deary family today. Some of those track champions include 7-time champion Bobby Wilberg, as well as John Knaus, with Joe Shear Sr. winning 6 titles. Both of Knaus's sons, Chad and Joe Sears' son, Joe Jr., are within NASCAR's National Series Championships crew chiefs. Also, Travis Kvapil started racing at Rockford at 16 and was now the 1994 track champion. Rich Bickle was also the track's Sportsman Rookie of the Year. And again, that is Rockford Speedway out in Loves Park, Illinois, and that is your your Whelen Engineering Short Track Spotlight of the week.
Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications on the road, in the air, and around the world. Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
We talked about earlier this past weekend, a busy weekend for NASCAR's touring, but also our short tracks across the country. Slinger Superspeedway hosted the Carl Wegner Memorial, where Luke Fenhaus won over Ryan DiStefano and Steve Apel. Madera hosted both of their late model divisions, both the junior and the pro late model, where Cole Brown collected the junior late model win over Bradley Erickson and Kiersey Jung. In the pro late model was Dylan Zampa over Buddy Shepard and Ross Strumska. The Cars Tour was out at Franklin County for their first visit there. Bubba Pollard captured the super late model win, and Jared Fryer won over a crazy battle with Mike Looney for the win in the late model stock division. And the return of the night before the 500 was out at IRP. Pavement Midgets making their return before the Indy 500. Bobby Santos, familiar name to Pavement Midget Racing, collected that win over Tanner Swanson and Kyle Hamilton. And The new schedule releases here in the NASCAR Euro Series are some fine-tuning, as we're going to call it, Kyle, and some more news out of NASCAR's touring.
First off, congratulations to Bobby Santos, a former NASCAR Whelen Modified champion and a multiple-time winner of the Stafford Spring Sizzler. So it was exciting to watch him on Flow the other night win that event out at IRP, or is it Lucas Oil Raceway now? It'll always be IRP to me. So the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, their championship events now will take place in Spain at Valencia in what will be 4 consecutive days of racing. This was announced earlier this week, December 3rd through the 6th. And we have a lot of racing to watch that first week of December. The events on the 5th and 6th will be double points to determine the series champion. They will kick off their weekend in a couple of weeks, or their season in a couple of weeks, on the weekend of September 12th and 13th in Rome. I still wish we could go out there and do a broadcast because I would love to visit Rome. Just saying. Hannah, I'm sure you're with me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we need to put together something next year to do NASCAR coast to coast abroad. Because
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, I already know I can fit in Julia Landauer's suitcase, so we could make at least that work. You might have a little bit tougher time, Kyle.
I can buy a ticket. It'll be worth it. It'll be fun. Keith Rocco, big news there. Speaking of drivers that find success in modifieds up here in the Northeast at Stafford and Thompson, he's going to be making his ARCA Racing Series debut in a couple of weeks' time at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, driving for Venturini Motorsports, one of the powerhouse organizations in the ARCA Menard Series. So it'll be interesting to see how Keith does in fender cars at the Magic Mile here coming up in a couple of weeks. And the Advanced Auto Parts weekly division standings are out for this week. Ryan Millington continues to lead by 14 points over Josh Berry, both obviously finding a lot of success down in North Carolina at Hickory Motor Speedway. And in Division 2, Jared Weston from Adams County Speedway has a 6-point lead over Chase Curtis, who has been rocking it up in northern New England at Monadnock Speedway, Elite USA Speedway, and Hudson Speedway. He is just 6 points back in Division 2.
And this up-and-coming weekend, some more action on tap for you guys. We talked about it earlier, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour headed to Monadnock for the Wade Cole Memorial. Also, the ARCA Series is back in action. They'll head to Gateway with the trucks this weekend as well for the Dutch Boy 150. And the Pinties, they kicked their season off about 2 weeks ago. They're racing this up-and-coming weekend with double headers at Flamborough Speedway. And you can watch both the ARCA and the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on NBC Track Pass on live, both of those Saturday evening events. Actually, Kyle, is Gateway for the ARCA Friday?
We are Saturday here on the Motor Racing Network for the ARCA Menard Series, and the NASCAR Gander trucks will be there on Sunday, also here on MRN.
I'll be in Meridian, Idaho, watching Dylan attempt to make his stock car debut.
So that's gonna be big. Before we wrap this up, I want to hear about your 3-race deal that you have going on at Hickory. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I saw some stuff on Twitter last week that was encouraging that you would, land this opportunity and have the sponsorship dollars to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool. It was something that I had a couple weekends off, and I'll always be a racer at heart. Wanted to get back behind the wheel. Had a chance to do it for a race or two. Really, just had high hopes to be able to at least race once, and of course, took to social media because I know that I feel like I have a decent reach there, but I feel so bad going and approaching people at the moment with how everything is in the world. I took to social media to see if anyone would be interested, and it somehow grabbed traction, and I now have been able to lock myself in for 3 races of a super truck at Hickory Motor Speedway, September, I think it's 5th, 12th, and 19th, so the first 3 weekends of September. I'll get to go race a super truck out at Hickory. I'm super excited. Obviously, I raced pro trucks a lot. So Dylan's going to race this weekend, and then I get the next 3 weekends to go race. And I got help from, Bubba Wallace reached out to me and helped cover my tire bill. Some of the spotters in NASCAR helped me out as far as Freddie Kraft, Brett Griffin, TJ Majors, that group. Chris Rice with Colleague Racing helped me out to put this together. So it was really cool that the racing industry, NASCAR Heat actually as well, is going to be on the truck. The racing industry is what made this all come together for me.
So no pressure to do well.
No pressure at all, clearly.
And I know those events, I think Hickory has a streaming platform, so we'll be able to watch up here in Connecticut and nationwide as Hannah Newhouse gets back behind the wheel.
Scary thought, that's for sure. Well, Kyle, looking forward to it. Have fun at Gateway this up and coming weekend. Again, you can watch a lot of the action on NASCAR's Track Pass on NBC for a lot of those. If not, definitely try and get out and support your local short track and short track racers if you can. We'll be back next week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. I'm Hannah Newhouse for Kyle Rickey and producer Craig Moore. We will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Whelen, also brought to you by Hercules Tires. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.